Hey guys, it's Legendary here, and I wanted to showcase a very powerful mechanic inside Against the Storm. And if you are new to the game and you're trying to figure out how to optimally level up your Smoldering City, the larger meta part of the game, as opposed to the individual choices that you make per settlement, I have a great tip for you here, and it will essentially just convert the game into a trivial getting through the first couple of clades part every single settlement that you do. So let's just jump right into it. As you can see here, we're in the overworld. I am fairly well progressed in the game right now. I'm currently sitting at prestige. I'm grinding through my prestige levels, and I'm currently sitting at prestige 5. I just unlocked prestige 6. And as I'm playing through and unlocking more things inside the Smoldering City, I have now discovered, hands down, the most broken upgrade that you can get. And I'll justify why you should absolutely rush this particular upgrade in your Smoldering City so that you can start abusing it in your game. Okay, so let's just quickly run in here and I'll show you exactly what you need to get. So up until now, I've just been steadily upgrading things as I go, but the most overpowered thing to unlock in this game, or the most overpowered ability to unlock, is in this right handmost tree over here, which is the Vanguard Spire. And you need to get this to level 8, which is up here. So at Vanguard Spire level 8, you unlock the embarkation bonus for getting the training gear delivery line. Now this is a little different from all the other embarkation bonuses that you get in the game. So normally you can get things like a flat amount of bonus resources at the start of your game, or you can immediately get a blueprint for something like farms, or many of the different huts that you get unlocked in the game. But embarkation point in this one, which is a delivery line, means that you will constantly be receiving training gear into your settlement supply from the very start of the match. Now this is an insane bonus because you can use training gear to open any of the abandoned caches that you get in game. And abandoned caches is basically a risk-free bonus to your settlement. So in my humble opinion, Vanguard Spire level 8 is hands down the most insane mechanic that you can unlock in the game. So if you're new to playing Against the Storm and you're trying to figure out what would be a really good thing to unlock, and there's a lot of choices here to invest in your food, supplies, machinery, and artifacts at the early point of the game, I would highly recommend rushing Vanguard Spire level 8 to get training gear delivery line. And to supplement this, there is another line of upgrades that you can get, which is I think it's the Pioneer's Gate. Yes, so it's Pioneer's Gate. And with Pioneer's Gate, you can unlock more embarkation points to essentially guarantee that you will always have access to getting your training gear delivery line. Okay, so that's basically it in a nutshell. The next thing that I would like to do is I would just like to jump into a quick demonstration of why this is so broken, and just having training gear building up from the start of the game up until the mid game is just absolutely insane. So let's just quickly jump into it here. So I have a marshlands game set up. I will basically just start off with humans here, the basic supplies. I am on prestige 5, but I think just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to tone this just down to Viceroy. But this still absolutely works on the higher difficulties. I've been grinding through my prestige levels by simply just abusing the fact that training gear delivery line gives you a 100% risk-free early game at the start of the match. So I'm going to pick training gear delivery line, and this is essentially all that you need, but I like to supplement this by just also picking wood and newcomers, but these are absolutely not essential. You could basically just win any match just with training gear delivery line. So let's just jump into it. I have no idea what I'm going to get, so this is completely an RNG created map. So I have a couple of good modifiers. I also have the mushroom one, which is awesome. But let's quickly just jump into why training gear is insane. So right off the bat, I'm going to get 3 training gear every minute in the game. This starts from right now. So as soon as things start to get going, I'll be able to invest my training gear into any abandoned caches that I might find. So let's just quickly build up a very simple start to my settlement here. I like to do a double woodcutter opener. I have a guide about this on Steam as well if you're interested in a really solid opening build order for Against the Storm. This is the pretty safe way to open regardless of each match that you play. So just quickly do that, and then we'll speed this up. I want to showcase just how insanely overpowered the training gear is. So hopefully we can get to our first starting point. So we'll just do 2 woodcutters and put in all the humans, and we'll just cut straight into this dangerous glade here. Normally I would wait for the first storm to get here, but I'm fairly confident that we are able to get into it. We'll just see how it goes. So just build the next couple of things. So I want just quickly pause and do this so that I am able to get trading up and running. Okay, so we've broken through our first dangerous glaive. Again, this is something that you're taught in the game to, take your time, make sure you're ready. When you play this game for quite a while, you realize that dangerous glades are more benefit than risk. But regardless, here you can see I have my first glade event, and it requires me to either tear this down or fix it. And you can see that the fix requirement is basically has a resource that I don't have a lot of yet. So I don't have any barrels, pottery, or water skins. But obviously I do have some starting additional resources, so I can use wildfire essence to fix this one. Now here's where training gear comes into play, right? So here you can see I have a cache, and inside this cache you need, one of the options is you can always break open caches. And normally you're unable to do this unless you start off with some additional stone, or if you start off with sea marrow. Now both of these require a lot of resources to use, and additionally you want to be investing your early game stone into making bricks to upgrade or to get more advanced buildings. And sea marrow is a little bit hit or miss because it's down to RNG in the map if you get this one. However, training gear is the third option that allows you to break open this particular cache to get access to the clay the pack of roots here and the bundle of coats. And this is why training gear is so strong. So I rolled a little bit unlucky because I only got 1 cache from this particular glade. But as you can see, and as you will notice as you're playing through the game, most of the very early game caches will either have a milestone that you really want, maybe like an increased production to wheat or to allow you to plant things faster, or any of the other milestones that you might run into. And you want to get access to those perks or those resources as fast as possible. And without sacrificing your brick production or randomly stumbling upon sea marrow, training gear is a consistent way for you to do this. Now, for this video, I just demonstrated getting training gear as fast as possible and opening this gate and getting to it. Normally, if you're playing a little bit more conservatively and waiting for the first storm to open your first dangerous glade here, you will have 8 training gear stocked up and ready to go, possibly even more. So it's not uncommon to start the match having more than enough training gear necessary to open this cache, and I have consistently found that you can just open a dangerous glade and get the resources needed to solve that particular glade's event, which will then allow you to snowball your game even further, because then you have the glade, you have the particular threat that it had solved, as well as any of the additional milestones that glade might provide. So for example, here you can also get dual brewing tools, which is not that great early, but again, I digress. The point is, I can immediately jump into unlocking these caches with a perk that I started off with at the very start of the match, and it'll just snowball from here. Okay, so that was just to demonstrate why I would go about getting this perk as fast as possible. Like I said, if you open this glade near the end of your first year, as you should, you will have more than enough training gear to get through the requirement to open any and all caches that you find. One final thing to take note of is another benefit of having a lot of training gear in your stockpile is the fact that training gear also sells relatively well. So 0.21 is nothing to scoff at. It's about as good as basic food, but not quite as good as coal. And if you're not opening any caches, or if you're playing quite conservatively with opening all the different glades, then you can use trading gear to trade with the various traders that you get to also gain an advantage from there. So it's a great bartering tool. It's a great way to open caches. And if you stockpile a lot of training gear, let's say 100 or 200 training gear, that's a phenomenon that I had in my previous match or my previous settlement, then the moment I build a service building that allows me to utilize brawling, I will essentially have so much training gear stockpiled that I'll be able to deliver that building services for a solid 20 minutes in game. And a 20-minute brawling service delivery specifically to your lizards and your foxes will essentially just guarantee that they're completely protected against any negative effects that may require services as a defense against it. Let me see if I have one here. I unfortunately didn't roll one here, but there's a couple of negative effects that can be prevented with services, and having that there for 20 minutes on its own is an exceptionally good way to prevent a sudden loss of population or a sudden increase in your queen's impatience. Right, I think I've dragged this video on for far too long. Essentially, the TLDR is get yourself training gear delivery line. It's basically a game-breaking feature. I wouldn't even say it's a bug because obviously the devs added it to the game for a reason. Definitely rush it. Play with it every single match. The only limiting factor that you might run into is that it costs 7 embarkation points. So do fill up that other tree that I showed off to help you supplement the number of embarkation points that you have. Right, that pretty much wraps us up. I will be making a Steam guide about this. It is insane. Utilize it, abuse it before the devs eventually probably nerf this because it is really, really, really strong. All right, so, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.